So I picked up this bike on Craigslist for 500 bucks. It's an 03 CR125. They weren't the fastest bike, but I like the chassis. So when you're looking for a good used bike, this one's never been apart, which is really cool. The wheels are still real good, shiny, you can tell. The motors, no one ever worked on it. And what happened was the guy's brother supposedly didn't mix the gas. This thing just needs to be washed up. Get the suspension over to MB1, get him to do that. And then we'll do the case, the motor. Brad over at ParaPros will give me a hand with that. And I think we're going to leave pretty much everything stock. Tom Morgan gave me some jetting specs. So we're going to throw that on with an FMF pipe, silencer. A couple months, we'll get back at it and you can see what the finished thing looks like. So now we're back here again a few weeks later. As you can see, the bike looks a whole lot different. And so we just got a bunch of time on it now. Moto USA rode it out at Milestone, did a full test. First of all, what we started with, when we started this build, we had to rebuild the entire engine, put a new crank in it, because they'd run it out of oil. They didn't mix the oil in the gas. And we probably could have tried to run the stock crank, but we figured we might as well put a whole new crank and main bearings in it. So Hot Rod's got a whole new main bearings and crank in there. Then we sent the cylinder to Millennium and they replated the cylinder. And when they replate the cylinder, it's like a brand new cylinder in there. And then they matched that to a Vertex piston and make it a perfect fit. So they got that all set in there. So we buttoned up the entire engine. And when we went to go install it, we installed got a V-Force recage, which works really good. Got some good jetting from Tom Morgan. We installed a Gold Series FMF pipe on this thing with a shorty silencer. Just gives it real good bark. FMF's still really involved in the two-strokes and still has a full product line for all the two-strokes. And then we start going to the handling and chassis stuff. We put some Lightspeed foot pegs on there just because they're really cool. Next, we put some Ride Engineering 24mm clamps with big bar mounts mounted to our Renthal bars. For tires, put on Dunlop MX31 front, MX51 rear. Really good for the soft conditions out in Southern California. TCR redid the stock wheels. He turns the stock hubs and then anodizes them and uses the stock rims and spokes. We mounted a QTM front rotor, oversized with their mount. They still had one that fit the older bike, the older fork spacing, and so that works really well. We used the stock gearing with the Renthal chain and sprockets. All of our lubricants were from Bel-Ray for the entire engine. Put the white plastic in the back from UFO to help with the styling. On the motor, the one other thing that we didn't mention is the Henson clutch. Put an entire Henson setup in there. Just makes perfect clutch action. Works connection, clutch perch, always a great feel for the bike. The great looking graphics that DecalWorks made. They made some custom graphics. They do all my project bikes. Did a great job on those graphics. Look really cool. Make it look more modern. This really cool seat. Moto Seat makes these. Travis over there. He makes me exactly what we need. He has a good line of seats. On the engine, when we were finishing up on the engine, of course, we assembled it with all Cometic gaskets from top to bottom to finish up the engine. Actually, already got a day of riding on it with Moto USA. They tested it at Milestone and got some good time on it. The bike runs real